Okay, we are now recording. Okay, everybody, so let's get back to it. We are now in our fifth class. It's actually the sixth week, but we're in our fifth class. All of you should be working on your midterms. I didn't get any emails or questions over WeChat of what to do or anything like that. So I'm assuming that either you're doing it or you've sent it in as part of the quiz, which I can look at. I haven't looked at this week's quiz. I graded the first one.
Sir,
Last week.
can I ask you something?
Yes.
Yeah, I send it. Mine is about almost like 10 days, something like that. I send you my first part.
You put it on the quiz?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, I'll check that. I'll check that this week.
Okay.
Okay. So last week we finished the first part of torts, and we also covered part A of your midterm. So we did part A, B, and C are already done. We only have D and E, and we're going to cover those today. The next quiz, which I put as the week 4 quiz, most of the things on this quiz we didn't do yet. We're doing them today. So I don't think I put that up on Blackboard yet. But let me open up our PowerPoint. How do I do this?
Sir, I have a question about the part B of the coursework.
Sure.
For the test, we need to find 2 cases.
Well, I mean, that's an absolute minimum.
Okay.
So minimum, but wait a minute. When you say for the test, you understand it's for each test, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not 2 tests for everything. It's, there's so many rules. There's 4 rules for duty of care, 4 rules for breach, and 3 rules for damages.
Yeah.
So you need tests for all of that. Hello, Carlotta. Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay, and last week we started by talking about the 4 defenses to negligence. Well, we talked about eggshell skull. Anybody remember what is eggshell skull? So, Nicola, what is it?
It's like we talked about the case of a guy who battered another guy. It was really a soft thing, but he have complications with his legs and have damage. So it means like we have to leave the body of someone as we found it.
Take the plaintiff as you find them.
Yes, so
sure.
It's really a small thing. It cause damage, so we must leave people as they are without any damage.
Junpyo, that makes sense to you? Can you explain that again?
So I think that even though you have hit the people,
I can't hear you.
Even you didn't hit the people hard, when the damage is very serious, you have to.
I'm sorry, it's too quiet. I can't hear you.
Even though you have hit the person really soft, if the damage is really serious, you have to take care of it.
Okay, that's true. But it's not only about hitting someone. If I make you food and the damage is much worse than I thought it would be, I still am responsible for it. It's not just about hitting someone. If I am careless, remember, we're talking about negligence in all of this. So if I'm careless in any way and the damage is much worse than I expected, then I am responsible for that damage. And let's say, Junpyo, for example, you and I have a contract. You can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. You and I have a contract, and the contract is to supply you 10,000 notebooks. Okay? Now, I send you the notebooks, and I am careless. So they're very, very low quality in the middle, and they fall apart. They're kind of garbage. Okay? So I was careless. Now, I didn't know this, but actually you already had a contract to supply the Korean government with these notebooks. And because you break the contract, you lose your business license and you're never allowed to do business in Korea ever again. Now, did I know that would happen? Of course not. What did I think would happen if I was careless? Well, I mean, I guess I thought that you would just, sue me, or maybe I'd have to give you back the money for the notebooks. I definitely didn't think this would happen. But Junpyo, am I responsible for this?
You're just responsible for the contract that I have made with the Korean government, but not responsible for the other future matters.
I am responsible for that. I'm responsible for everything. Don't you see? This is no different from hitting someone in the arm and then they lose their arm. Did I know that if I sent you bad notebooks, you would have a problem with whoever you were selling them to? Should I know that?
No, you don't have to.
What do you mean? If I sell you a bad product, how could I not know that this is going to cause a problem between you and whoever you sell them to? Of course I should know that. You can't just sell people bad products. I am responsible. I'm responsible for any damage that you got as a result of my carelessness. Now, we did talk about, of course, this causal chain, and that you can break the chain, right? And we look at foreseeability. So if I sold you these notebooks and I was careless, now you can't sell them to the Korean government. Because you can't sell them to the Korean government, the Minister of Defense goes to a store to buy a notebook. And on the way to a store, he trips. And when he trips, he falls over and he breaks his favorite cup. And this cup is 1,000 years old and it's worth $1 million. And can he sue me for the $1 million cup?
No, he can't.
No, he can't. Jody, why not?
Is it the intervening act?
Why? What was an intervening act? Was someone else negligent?
No, but it's your own negligence.
Not an intervening act. Somebody else tell me? Why am I not responsible for the cup?
He cannot, because you could not foresee, that because he goes to the store, he would flip and so on. So it's not foreseeable.
Right. It is foreseeable that if I sell you bad notebooks and you sell them to someone else, they're not going to want the notebooks because they're bad.
Yes.
That's foreseeable. If I sell you garbage, I know it's garbage. I was careless. So if you sell it to someone else, I mean, of course I'm responsible for that. But I couldn't see that the Minister of Defense would break a coffee cup. I never could have seen that. So I'm not responsible for that. But it's not an intervening act. An intervening act is someone else doing something.
If you don't know, if you're selling me the computers, but if you don't know they are good or not, you are responsible, right?
Sure, I'm the one who's manufacturing them or the one who's selling them. I have to do quality control. Okay, so that's eggshell skull. You are responsible for unintended damages as long as they are foreseeable. Harry, what's the definition of eggshell skull?
You are responsible for The type of damage, it doesn't matter the extent of it. You take people as they are,
As long as?
it's foreseeable that the damage, there's causation basically.
Correct.
Your negligence caused the damage.
Well,
As long
but it has to be foreseeable. Remember, causation could be the chain of causation.
Right,
And
yeah.
I am part of the chain.
Yeah. So if it's, so there's two tests, like you have the but-for test, and if you could foresee that could happen, if you should have known that might have happened.
Right. And there's no way I could have known that some random Korean person would break an expensive cup. There's no way I
Right.
could have known that. Okay, then we talked about the defenses to negligence. These are pretty easy, right? If you're doing something illegal, then you can't sue for negligence. If you were committing a crime, you can't sue because you got hurt. You shouldn't have been committing a crime. But where we see this a lot is sometimes when someone is crossing a street when the light is red. That is illegal. And if you're crossing a street when the light is red and you get hit, well, you shouldn't have been crossing the street when the light is red. Now,
So,
what if,
I have
Yeah.
one question about this. I think that's like jaywalking, right?
yes,
And in France, I can see that if you hit somebody jaywalking, you have to take care of them.
I will have to look into that.
Yeah, because I was there a couple of years ago in 2018, but one guy told me about it.
So that is similar to what we call a no-fault accident. So in America for a while, they had a rule that says if you're driving and someone hits the back of your car, it's their fault. And it doesn't matter. Let's say I'm driving and I hit the brakes suddenly. And of course, they hit the back of my car. It's still their fault. Because the attitude was you should never be so close to someone that you could hit them. If you're so close that you could hit them, then that's bad driving. And so even if I stop suddenly, you should not hit me. So it's not my fault no matter what. So maybe France has that kind of rule for jaywalking. I would assume, though, it would only be if the car was driving in a careless way. I mean, if I walk into the street in front of a car at a green light, that can't possibly be his fault. Like, I'd be shocked if that was the law. That would be too surprising. But I'll look.
This is the same in Brazil. And sometimes people, go backwards to provoke the accident, and the guy behind
Oh, really?
have this, like the two guys are fighting, for everything, and then the front one says, oh, okay, you will pay my damage, so go backwards.
That's crazy. Well, I mean, now they have cars. Now they have cameras.
Yeah, but if you don't have cameras and so on,
Yes.
it's complicated.
Sure. Okay. Second is consent. If you agree to do something dangerous, then you can't sue because you got hurt. Third is necessity. If you did something dangerous and got hurt, but it's because it was necessary to do that to prevent a greater harm, then you can't sue. And then finally is contributory negligence. If both people were careless, then both people are responsible. So again, consent, illegality is clear. Consent, if you agree to do something, also called voluntary assumption of the risk. Necessity, if someone acted to prevent a greater harm and they hurt you doing that, you can't sue them. If they run into a building to save a baby, and when they're running into the building, they push you and you fall down, but they do save the baby, well, you can't sue them even though you got hurt. They were acting to prevent a greater harm to the baby. And contributory negligence, both parties are responsible. And that's where we stopped last week. So let's pick up from here. We'll go through the PPTs for a little while, and then a little bit later when we get to it, I'll talk more about your task D and E from your midterm exam. Florian and Caitlin, hello. Okay, let's look
Sir,
at a few
I have a
examples.
question.
Yes,
When is the deadline for the midterm?
I said it last class. It was week 8, I'm pretty sure.
Which day or which month?
Which month? Well, right now we're in, hold on a sec. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can. Yes.
Can you see the calendar?
Yes.
Okay. So this is today, right?
Mhm.
You're on Monday the 12th. This is week 6. So week 7, week 8. So it should be the 26th. No, I would make it due on Friday probably. So let's make it the 30th.
Okay. Got it.
That's when it should be due,
Yeah.
because that's week 8. And then I'll see. I mean, I will say in all honesty, this would not be the first time that I gave students another week and made it due in week 9. I sometimes will do that. This is a big assignment. Yeah, you know, anyway, just let me know. Let me know if you're having problems with it. Okay, 2 packs a day. I work for a building that removes asbestos from old, a company that removes asbestos from old buildings. They give us some pretty bad masks, and I've been coughing a lot, but I do smoke cigarettes. I go to the doctor, he says, give up smoking. I don't, and then I die from lung cancer. My wife sues the asbestos removal company, and they say it's not their fault. Caitlin, what defense is the asbestos company going to use here?
Well, they would say maybe they'd go chain of causation. That yes, they were a part of it, but.
Well, wait, we just learned 4 defenses: illegality, consent, illegality, consent, necessity, and contributory negligence.
Then it'd be consent because he legally works for the company, so he consented to everything they've required him. So wearing the masks is part of his like.
Did I consent to use bad quality masks?
No, but he consented to work for the company, and he.
So it's okay for the company to poison me?
No, not really, but no, but they would say that he consented, so they probably lose the lawsuit, but they probably.
Caitlin, is my lung damage 100% their fault?
No, not really.
Why?
Because he smokes.
Okay, so what is that called when we're both at fault?
Neglect?
Contributory negligence.
Oh.
We're both at fault. So what the judge did is the judge reduced the award . The judge reduced the award by 20%. The company is careless. They were careless. You don't have to consent. You know, if a company is careless, they can be sued. And they were trying to save money by buying cheap masks, and that's not okay. But this guy was smoking. Look at another one.
Can I ask like an English question here? So they reduce it by 20%. It means they will pay 20%, or they will pay less 20%?
Less 20%. So the company is 80% responsible.
Oh, thank you.
Because lots of people smoke cigarettes and don't die early. It's bad for you, but not everybody who smokes dies when they're 60. Another one, a husband and wife were driving at night without lights. They thought it was romantic. And around the corner, another man was speeding in his car towards the wife, and he was driving on the wrong side of the road. There was an accident and the husband was killed. So the wife sues the man who's speeding, driving on the wrong side of the road. The man who was speeding says the wife was driving without lights and she's negligent too. What do you think, Jordan? Was the wife negligent too?
I think it's contributory negligent. Both of them are wrong.
Is it wrong to drive without lights?
It's wrong, yes.
Which is more wrong, driving without lights or driving on the wrong side of the road?
I think driving in the right side of the road is wrong. That's completely wrong. For me, I can see that's like drive without light is like 60%, but this one is almost 90% wrong.
Well, okay, you can't have 60% and 90% because that mathematics doesn't work.
See, sometime can happen when you drive, maybe you will have a problem with light or something, but driving wrong side the road is wrong.
So maybe it's
completely
like 80-20,
80,
something
20,
like
yes.
that. Okay,
Yes.
fine.
Yeah.
So you understand how we, just to get everybody on the same page of where we are now in torts, here's what our analysis looks like, right? We start with part one, and part one is, was there a duty of care? And we have our 4 tests: proximity, foreseeability, reasonable, Lord Atkins neighbor test. Then we go to part 2, which is, did you break your duty of care? That's unreasonable risk of harm, reasonable person standard, social benefit, cost of minimizing. Then we go to part 3, which is damages, and we have 2 tests, but for and foreseeable. Then we go to part 4. Was there an intervening act? Did anything come between the negligence and the damage? In this case, yes. Right? Was the wife negligent? Was she careless by driving without lights? Yeah, it's very dangerous to drive without lights. But is that what caused her injury? No, not only. There was a guy on the wrong side of the road. Was there an eggshell skull? Was the husband more easily injured than somebody else? No, not really. Then part 5, is there a defense? We have our 4 defenses: illegality, consent, necessity, contributory negligence. Right now, that's where we are in our understanding. And you are correct. At first, in the trial court said the defendant is guilty. This is the guy on the wrong side of the street. They said, that's really bad. He's guilty. And the other one is not guilty. The appellate division reversed. They said, no, they're both guilty. And they ordered a new trial. And then the appellate division, this is up at the Supreme Court, and they said the reversal is affirmed. Yes, you need to go back and have a new trial. Because the wife said, come on, the lights were off, so what? If he was on the right side of the road, we'd be okay. And the judge said, yes, probably, but it doesn't matter. Turning your lights off at night is careless. You were careless. You were only a little careless, doesn't matter. You were careless. If her lights were on, maybe the driver would have gone to the correct side of the street, maybe. Okay.
Sir, is it order a new trial means appeal?
No, order a new trial means start again from the beginning.
Okay.
Go back down to trial court and start again. A lot of the times the Supreme Court, because they're very busy, they'll say, we don't have the time to answer this question. We don't have the time to look at all the evidence. We're going to answer one question for you and then go back down and start again. One of the reasons law takes so long. Okay, remedies. Remedies is actually the last task. It's task E. So I know we have not done task D yet. We'll do that after this. But remedies is the last part if you looked on your midterm. So what does a remedy mean? Well, in English, a remedy is like something you take if you're sick, right? If you have a bad cold or you have the flu, you might take a remedy, like a medicine. But in the law, a remedy is what you get if you win. That's the definition. A remedy is what you get if you win. Now, there are 3 things I want you to know about remedies. Number 1, the definition. Definition is what you get if you win. Number 2, the purpose. What's the purpose of a remedy? Well, number 3, what is it not? A remedy is not a punishment. It's not meant to be a punishment. So if I sell Junpyo these bad notebooks, and Junpyo sues me and Junpyo wins, and I need to give him whatever, $10,000. Is that $10,000 to punish me? No. What's the purpose of giving Junpyo that money? Jody, what's the purpose of giving him that money?
Just to recover what you have done.
To recover the position he was in before. So before I sold him bad notebooks, and before he tried to give them to the Korean government, before any of that happened, where was he? He had this much money in the bank. He had this much reputation. That's where he was. Now, I cannot turn back time, but what I can do is give him the money he lost. So if we get in a fight and Harry hits me and I go to the hospital and I have to pay for the doctor and pay for the medicine, Harry cannot unhit me. But before he hit me, my nose was fine. Now my nose is broken. What can he do? He can give me all the money that pays for the doctor, the medicine, my job that I can't go to. I need a cook, whatever I need, so that I get back to a place where my nose is fine. That's the point. We're trying to put the injured party in the position that he was in before the tort. So before you got hurt.
Can we
Now,
say, like,
sometimes
it's
we
a
can't.
compensation?
Yes, it's compensation for the purpose of putting you back where you were. You know, the key idea here is that it's not really about punishing someone. There are two types of remedies, really. So the first type of remedies is called damage. Damage means money. In the law, damages means money. Now, there's two kinds of money. You could say tangible and intangible. We generally call them direct and indirect. So what do these two mean? Direct is, and here's the three words I want you to know. 4 words. Anything with a receipt. Anything with a receipt. So let's say that, Harry, we get in a fight and you hit me in the nose, okay? Harry, you there?
Yep. Yeah.
Good, you hit me in the nose, I go to the hospital. Tell me what are some of the things I'm gonna have to pay for where I will get a receipt that has an exact number of how much it costs.
A hospital bill.
Sure.
Maybe if you're working, you missed a day of work, your salary, you could get a
How
receipt.
what do we call the receipt for our salary?
I'm not sure.
Taxes.
Oh, okay. Right. Yeah.
You can see your salary by your taxes, divided by 12 per month, divided by 4 per week, divided by 5 per day. Sure, you can figure it out that way. We have an exact number for that. Anything else?
Transport.
Sure, if I need to take taxis,
Mm.
I get a receipt for that.
Medicines.
Medicine. I mean, you guys are naming the big ones, right? These are the big things that we have receipts for. Doctors, medicines, taxis, maybe, like I said, work, missing work. Maybe if I need to get someone to clean my apartment or someone to cook or something like that. But yeah, I mean, that's what we're talking about pretty much always. What about in the case where it's not physical, where it's financial? Like with Junpyo, I sold Junpyo these cheap notebooks. Carlotta, I sold Junpyo these cheap notebooks, and he, of course, he bought 10,000 books. They're not for him, they're to resell. He tries to resell them, but they're garbage, nobody wants them, and he loses all of his business, and his, business is closed, and it's gonna cost him whatever, $100,000, whatever. I have to pay him all that money. Can you tell me some of the damages where we know an exact dollar amount?
It's a direct damage because he can have a receipt of like what he paid you and like the exact cost that it cost him to file
Sure.
the book?
Sure, absolutely. The money he paid me is probably in the contract. And of course, he had contracts with other people. He had contracts with Rooney's store and Florian's store and the Korean government. He had contracts with everybody. So everything that's in a contract is direct because we have an exact number. Anything else?
He could sue you for the amount of money that he lost and the amount of money that he could have gained selling the books.
Okay, you make a very interesting point. I don't usually teach that until we get to contracts, but you are correct that he could sue me for the money he lost, which is called a reliance damage, and the money he expected to make, which is called an expectation damage. I do not expect you to know that for your midterm, but you are correct. That's good thinking. So, okay, in a contract case, yes, it's pretty much just the money in the contract. And anything like shipping costs, transportation costs, court costs, anything like that. So anything with a receipt, anything where you know the exact amount of money, of course, you can sue someone. Now, what if I sold this to Junpyo and he lost a lot of business, he lost a lot of money, and because of that, Junpyo lost his position as the president of the Chamber of Commerce and is very, very unhappy and ashamed and needs to go see a therapist and he can't sleep and could he sue me for this stuff? Florian?
I think the name is collateral damage, this one.
Collateral damage? Sure, he could definitely try to sue me. Now, here's my question. If he sues me, the money that his therapist costs, is that direct or indirect?
With the chain, is not a direct.
I just want to know the amount of money.
He asks for a receipt.
Okay, right? A therapist is a doctor. They'll give you a receipt. So the amount of money for the therapist is direct.
Yes.
What about the fact that Junpyo has now lost his good reputation in the business community? Is that valuable? Is a business reputation valuable?
Yes.
No.
No? You don't think reputation has value?
It has, but how can you prove the value?
Okay, well, there's no exact number. That doesn't mean he can't sue me for money. It just means it's intangible. It's indirect. You can always sue someone for indirect damages. So if Junpyo sues me because he lost his business reputation, how do we figure out the price? How much is his suffering worth? We look at old cases. We look at we bring in some psychology experts. We bring in doctors and we figure it out. Let's say, Florian, I go to the doctor, Dr. Aruni, and I say, Dr. Aruni, I have a problem. Oh, let's say you're a dentist and you go to fix my teeth and you accidentally do a really, really bad job. And I'm going to be in pain for the next 3 years and I can't eat any solid food for 3 years. Caitlin. Now, Aruni is going to have to give me, Caitlin, you're muted.
Oh, yeah.
Aruni's going to have to give me money for the hospital bills, right? Because she was careless, she hurt me. What about this idea that I can't eat food and I'm going to be in pain for 3 years? Is that worth money?
Yeah.
What's that money called? Anybody know? Well, let me ask it this way. Is that pain or is that suffering?
Suffering, because it's
Both.
Correct. Pain is physical and suffering is emotional. You can always sue someone for pain and suffering. You might not win, but you can always sue them for that. Sure, I'm going to be suffering for years. That is worth money. So in the case where Junpyo lost his business reputation, he can absolutely sue me for pain and suffering. So direct, anything with a receipt, anything with exact numbers. Indirect, pain and suffering. Min, do you feel pain and suffering? Injunction. Min, what's an injunction?
I'm not sure.
Aruni, what's an injunction?
It's like an order
It is an order. It's an order to do what?
to stop.
Correct.
doing
It's an
something.
order to stop doing something. Stop building that wall in front of my window. Stop running your factory across the street that makes so much noise and a bad smell. Stop pouring your garbage into the ocean. Stop. Why, Jody, why do we have this order that says stop? Why can't we just give money?
Because of the government's rule.
No, not a government rule. Anybody? Why? Ooh, look how nice I drew that. Anybody tell me, why can't we just give money? Yeah, Florian?
If it's a civil wrong, you have to stop because that's a civil wrong.
Yeah, but why? I mean, we could just give money.
But
Torts are
there's
civil wrongs.
there are things like this example about the wall. It's not about the money. It's about your view. You know, it's about I don't know how to make it more clear, but it's even if I like this view and I bought my house to have this view, even if you give me like $5 million, it doesn't make the
And
problem.
if you're pouring poison into the ocean, it's not about the money, it's about the ocean. You know, you're correct. It's not about the money. Sometimes it's just not about the money. And there are some situations where an infinite amount of money can't buy us another ocean. They're not for sale. And an infinite amount of money can't buy us, you know, another music performance. It happens once and that's it. It can't buy us another view. That's it. You know, so sometimes money isn't enough. So, okay, going through this again, direct damages, anything with a receipt, doctor's bills, hospital bill, travel, lost income from work, anybody you hire, anything like that. You need new clothes, whatever. That's direct.
So even the lawyer that you hire.
Okay, so that's called court costs. Now, different countries have different rules about court costs. We do not consider that direct damages. That's a separate kind of money. In America, usually you do get court costs. So if I sue you and I win, you have to pay for my lawyer, as long as it's reasonable. I cannot go and buy and hire the most expensive lawyer in America. It just has to be a reasonable amount of money. In China, you very rarely will get court costs. Usually you have to pay for your own lawyer. So it does depend on the country. A lot of judges do not like to give court costs, you know, so they won't always give them, but they might make your damages bigger to pay for the court costs. And it also depends on your financial resources. Are you poor? Are you rich? Things like that. But it's a good question. Indirect, pain and suffering. Pain is physical. Suffering is emotional. Now, future losses. I gave the example of if I sold these cheap notebooks to Junpyo and then I was careless. I made this and, you know, it should be metal, it's plastic, they all break. And Junpyo tries to sell them to people and he can't. Now he loses business. Can he sue me for the business he might have had in the future? Jordan?
Yeah, sure. So he can sue you.
Can he show me exactly how much money he would make in the future?
Yeah, if he knows how to the price and something.
We're talking about the next 5 years. How could he possibly know exactly how much money he'll make in the next 5 years?
He can project it.
Is that an exact number?
No.
It's not exact. So it's indirect.
Indirect, yeah.
He can sue me, no problem, he can. We call that future loss. And he can sue me, but it is not direct. Direct means you have an exact number. Indirect means you do not have an exact number. And that's future loss. Loss of consortium, I've mentioned before, this is where you lose the ability to be intimate, you know, with someone you love, to go to bed with your husband, your wife, your long-term partner, something like that. That is also worth money. Of course, we can't put an exact price on the cost of being physically intimate with someone, but it is worth money. So these are the three kinds of indirect damages.
Sir, I was watching the one lady has a show. It's called Judy or something, lawyer.
Judge Judy?
Judge Judy, yeah.
That's very famous.
There is one guy, he had a problem with his girlfriend and she gave him like some medicine to sleep. He was sleeping all day and she cut his hair. After that, they went to the court. He said, I don't want to put more value in this, but I want her to pay for my hair 10,000.
But that's an interesting case, actually. You know, sometimes, not this year, but sometimes I give a midterm exam about cutting hair because that is a case that happens, you know, and the value of hair is different for different people.
Because what he was telling her, this the hair he was doing rasta, and he said this hair he keep like generation to generation. It's from his grandfather, it's from his father, and now he's take this.
I mean, that is definitely a suffering argument. He didn't have any physical pain, right? It's just his hair, it didn't hurt, but it's a suffering argument.
And later the judge gave him order on favor him, and she has to pay like 10,000 USD for him.
Wow, I guess he made a good argument. That is impressive.
Yeah, I used to watch this show.
Judge Judy is a good show.
Yeah.
They have other ones like that in America. The other one is Judge Joe Brown is a popular one. Judge Joe Brown is very interesting. Joe Brown is a black guy, and he was the only judge ever. He was the judge during the Malcolm X case, if you know who Malcolm X is in America. He actually ruled that the CIA was involved in the assassination of Malcolm X. And he did that what's called in camera. In camera means privately, so the press, the newspapers and everything cannot see the evidence. But he ruled that the CIA was involved, and immediately he was removed from being a judge. But he obviously had so much courage that they gave him a TV show, and he's a great judge. You know, he's a very courageous person. Okay, injunctions. There are three kinds of injunctions. Let's use the example of somebody who is building a wall in front of your window, because you guys seem to understand that. So somebody's building a wall in front of your window. Prohibitory injunction means stop. Just stop. Stop building the wall, stop dumping the garbage in the ocean, stop running the factory, just stop. Now, what if I buy a house and Caitlin, you buy the house next door and you tell me, hey, David, I plan to build a wall. I see you outside with measuring tape. You're just measuring the grass and putting up pieces of string. And I say, hey, you know, welcome to the neighborhood, Caitlin. I'm David. What are you doing? And you say, oh, I'm just measuring. I'm going to build a 20-foot brick wall. Now, I can't ask you to stop because you didn't start yet. So that's called a mandatory injunction, and that means prevent. That's when you didn't even start yet, and I don't want you to start. I want to prevent you from starting. Third is interim. And the key word for interim is the word temporary. So let's say that, Caitlin, you move in next door, and I say, what are you doing? You say, oh, I'm going to build this tall wall. And I say, no, 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 you can't do that. And you say, David, look, I have something from the the city. I asked the city, and they said I could. I have the city, and here's the mayor's signature. And that's true, you do, but I still think you can't do that. That's not okay. I want to go to court right now, and this you can get very, very fast. I could get this maybe in 24 hours. And this says you have to stop, Caitlin, temporarily until we can go to court and the judge can decide who wins, you with your paper or me with my view out the window. So an interim injunction you can get very quickly to just stop someone for now if they're doing something where money is not going to fix the problem. Any question on that? No? Good. Let's look at an example or two.
Sorry, sir. I do have a question.
Yeah.
What if, like, so you live in a house and government officials come and then, like, not in your backyard, but behind your backyard, there's like a baby forest, not a baby forest, but like a small patch of just trees, and they cut them all down. Could you, like, press an interim injunction against them?
Absolutely.
Would you probably win?
Well, it depends why they're cutting the trees down. You said this is the government doing it, right?
Yeah.
The government can't just, I mean, it depends. Are they making a lot of noise? What's their purpose in cutting the trees down? Those trees behind my land were, even though I don't own them, that's part of the value of my land. You know, part of the value is that it's right next to all those beautiful trees. You cut those down, suddenly my land is not as valuable, and that may affect irrigation, it may affect erosion. What about when I own this? I want to give this house to my kids and to my children's children. What about in 100 years when the land is having a landslide because those trees were necessary? Did they do an environmental survey to see what the effect would be of cutting down all those trees on the water table, on the soil erosion? You know, and there's only one situation where you can't sue them. And that situation is called eminent domain. I can't write conveniently on this because there's no text function, but, oh wait, there is. Oh no, this is where it writes what I said. Eminent domain. Cool, eminent domain. Now go away. No, go away. Okay, eminent domain. Eminent domain means any government can take land if they absolutely need it, like to build a hospital, to build a highway, to build an airport. If you own land and the government needs that for the public good, they can take the land. If somebody's sending me a chat, I can't read it when I'm sharing full screen, so you can just unmute and speak. But eminent domain, the government can take it, there's nothing you can do, but they still have to pay you for it. They still have to pay you the fair value. Okay, let's look at an example. I've been studying for music for a lot of years. I think I'm gonna be a famous musician. I'm walking outside KFC, I fall because the sidewalk isn't repaired, and I break my hands. So now I sue the company. Now I'm gonna sue them for direct damages. Junpyo, what would be some of the direct damages I can sue them for?
Hospital bills,
Sure.
maybe the money that you get for a concert or something,
For what?
like a concert.
Okay, sure. If I'm already supposed to play a concert, I have a contract with them. It says an exact amount of money. Sure.
Hire
Anybody?
assistant,
Anything else?
assistant. hire assistance? If you cannot
Sure, if
write
I need an
something.
assistant, I mean, if my hands are
Yeah.
broken, maybe I can't cook or clean.
Yeah.
Anything else? Yeah, I mean, those are the big ones. Tell me about some of my indirect damages.
Last time you say there is a website where you can see the price of your organs or physical attributes. So you can say give the price of your hand too.
Well, but I didn't lose my hand. My hands will be okay in the future.
You say broken and you cannot play.
Yes, but they'll be okay someday. So I
Okay.
want to know, what are my indirect damages?
Your career, professional career.
Yeah, but what am I suing them for?
You'll
I gave you three things, three indirect damages.
yeah.
Suffer.
For
Okay,
suffering.
what is my suffering?
Suffering because you lost your career. Financial, and
Physical and
physical.
emotional.
Okay, but I feel like you guys are getting a little bit confused. Now we got to go back to this. There are three.
Yeah.
Can
Pain
I
and
sue for
suffering.
pain?
Yes.
Yes, my
Physically.
hands hurt. I can sue for pain. That's number one, that's indirect. Can I sue for suffering?
Yes.
Yes.
What is suffering?
Emotionally.
Emotional pain. Min, what would be the emotional? Min, do you play an instrument?
No.
No. In my example, what would be the emotional pain that this person would suffer?
Because he cannot play the musical
So what?
instrument he live.
Would you suffer, Min, if you could not play a musical instrument tomorrow?
Maybe.
Well, you don't play a musical instrument today. Why would you suffer if you can't play one tomorrow?
For me, no, but for him, I think yes.
Yes, correct, but why?
Anybody? Sir, I think like the music.
That's his job.
His future. He wants to be a musician.
No, but
okay,
I
wait. Let's pause for a second. Someone said future. That's this. That's number two. Yes, he can definitely sue for the future loss, right? Maybe next week he cannot play a concert. Next month, next year, maybe next month there's a big competition in Germany and now he can't go. Now, would he win? We don't know, but maybe. So sure, he can sue for the future, but that's a different question. My question was about suffering.
So like, for example, for those who play, it's not all about the job, you know, it's a kind of hobby. I play a little Brazilian guitar here. Once in a while, you know, I want to stress out and so on. So I play something, play some samba, some music. So it's making me more happy or more relaxed. So he cannot do it anymore, you know. It's not about only the job, it's about
So music is self-expression.
Self-expression, yes. Good one.
And when you take that away from someone who uses that to express themselves, it is very painful. You know, you take away a writer's ability to write, a singer's ability to sing, a dancer's ability to dance, anything like that is a lot of suffering. So in this case, this was called Grayson v. Irvmar. It was actually an opera student. And she did fall down and she hurt her throat. She couldn't sing. And they gave $50,000 based on future. And this was 1959. That was a lot of money. So the judge, the Supreme Court, they lowered it to $20,000. But they said, yeah, you can get recovery for future earnings. We don't know if she would have made money, but she had a beautiful voice. Maybe she would. And the jury believed it, sure. Pain, suffering, future losses, anything like that. I go to a doctor for a simple operation. He accidentally cuts out part of my lungs, and I'm going to have trouble breathing for the rest of my life. And I'm always going to feel pain. Should I get money for the pain?
Yes.
What do you think, Carlotta?
Yes.
Should I get money for suffering?
Both.
Yes. So you can no longer do your passion.
What's your passion here? Breathing?
You no longer breathe well.
I mean, this isn't about passion.
Maybe.
This is just, you go to a doctor and they are careless and they make a mistake. Now it's going to hurt to breathe.
And
And
kind
that
of, you become like handicapped.
Sure. And that's a kind of suffering. So in this real case, this was Walters v. Hitchcock. And what had happened is the doctor made a mistake, and now this woman can't really eat. You know, for the rest of her life, because now there's a problem with her esophagus, she's going to have trouble eating. There's a lot of foods she can't eat. Everything kind of needs to be liquid. And they awarded $2 million. Now, is that too much? Well, one of the judges, here's an important word, dissent. Dissent means one of the judges did not agree. And the judge very, very strongly did not agree. And he wrote his own opinion. It doesn't matter, he doesn't win, but he wanted to express that he doesn't agree. Dissents are very important in the law because sometimes they become the law in the future. So what this judge said is that's much too high. It's too high because the plaintiff was a woman who would not have earned that money, and the hospital bills were only $60,000, $59,000, and they gave her $2 million. But the jury was very sympathetic, and they agreed that that sounds terrible. She could never eat. She can't enjoy food. They had a very good lawyer, and he convinced the jury. Okay, that is task D. Let me stop sharing for a second and make sure everybody knows what I'm talking about when I say that is task D. Everybody can see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so this is a coursework, and we already talked about the facts. We already did task A, which is that sign the exclusion clause, and we talked about all those rules. We already did task B, which is all of this stuff about negligence, the four tests, the three tests, duty of care, breach, and damages. We already did, and also intervening act, eggshell skull defenses. Then we already did task C, which is the same thing. Four tests, three tests, intervening acts, eggshell skull defenses, exactly the same as task B. B and C should be like mirrors. They should be exactly the same, except in B you talk about the law, in C you talk about the facts. That's the only difference. When I say talk about the law, I mean the rules. When I say the facts, I mean Jack and Ashley, the people. Task D, let's do that in a second. Task E, explain the remedies that are available for injuries due to a negligent act. What is the definition of remedy? Well, we just did that. What is the purpose of a remedy? We just did that. What remedies are available for the tort of negligence? There are two. Anybody tell me, what are the two remedies for negligence? We literally just learned it.
Damage and injunctions.
Thank you. Damages and injunctions. And then I want you to discuss our case with Ashley and Jack. What damages could he get? What direct, what indirect damages could he get? And could they get an injunction? So I even gave you some of the answers here and told you where I want references. You cannot copy my language. So I'm giving you my language, but you change it, use your own. Damages, direct, then indirect, injunctions, the three kinds. And then in our case, are there direct, indirect? Can anybody get an injunction? Be as clear and detailed as you possibly can. Anything you think of that's like very creative, a creative damage, whatever. I won't give you them, but any creative things you can think of, you get extra points. Okay. Now, let's do the last one, which is task D. Yes.
Just I have a question for the case of the girl who cannot sing. You say was it a pain, like physical, the loss, or emotional? Also, can you find a way to make the like the guilty company or people pay for example, she was an opera singer. For example, if she paid the opera courses during 5 years before to get the accident, to have an accident, can she use this bill as a proof of the liability that she had in order to provide for her dream, which was to be a singer?
So let me just clarify. The price of, you're talking about all the opera classes she took and all her teachers and the school and
or
all
the
that.
investment, financial investment, not physical at the time.
Right, I understand. Her financial investment in training for this career proves that, well, the thing is, that proves that she wanted to be a singer. But she's not getting money because she wanted to be a singer. She's getting money because she could have made money as a singer. Now, you could take dance classes for 10 years. That doesn't mean you're going to make money as a dancer.
Oh.
So what they did in this case is they brought in her professors. And her professors said, listen, I've been a music and singing coach for 10 years. This is the best student I've ever had. She's going to be famous. And another coach said, listen, I work at the opera. I'm a coach at this school and I work at the opera. And I was going to suggest that she audition because she's going to be famous. You know, so they brought in these teachers to prove that she was going to make money. Now, let's say that, Florian, you love dancing. You're a terrible dancer, but you love it. Every weekend you go to raves and you dance all night every weekend. It's how you relax. You know, it's your favorite thing in the world. And all of your friends and your family, we all know that. Now, today you're walking on the street in front of Harry's restaurant. And Harry's restaurant, there was a crack in the sidewalk and he never fixed it. It's his responsibility, but he didn't fix it. And he didn't put up a sign that says danger, nothing. So you fall and you break your legs. Now, you cannot dance for the next 6 months. Of course, you don't make any money dancing, but you're not going to be able to dance for the next 6 months. Can Florian sue Harry for indirect damages? Direct, of course, right? The hospital, the doctor, the medicine, sure. But indirect. Anybody?
I understand that you cannot dance for the rest of your life, you cannot sing, or you
6
cannot
months.
dance. Yeah, 6 months. But how can you quantify or give money to this loss?
We look at past cases. We look at past cases and we bring in experts. That's it.
Also,
But let me address that in a minute. First, I want an answer to my question. Can Florian sue Harry for indirect damages?
I can, but I have
Which one?
Because you remove something of his life. So
Which
yes.
one? You got 3 choices, man. Which one?
Emotionally.
Okay,
Because
what's that called?
Pain, and the other one was what? Pain and
suffering.
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 Yeah.
That's what you could sue Harry for. Suffering. Okay? Is everybody clear? Aruni, explain to me why, even though Florian does not make money with his dancing, why he could sue Harry for suffering.
Because it's what he likes, and this is with emotional.
Okay. It's because it's what he likes, it's what he loves. Does it hurt when you take away what someone loves?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Okay, now it doesn't, now the question of how much money you get, that's a different question. What would I do if I was Florian's lawyer? I would bring in psychologists and therapists who talk about, in their experience, when someone loses something they love, how long it takes to get that feeling of happiness back in their life, how this can affect their relationships with people, how this can affect their work experience. And then maybe I would have a therapist say, overall, I would call this $20,000. And then let's say this is Harry. Harry, you have a lawyer too. And your lawyer calls another doctor, Dr. Caitlin. And Dr. Caitlin says, listen, I'm a doctor too. I would say this is not a big deal. He loved dancing. He could dance in a wheelchair. He could dance on crutches. You shouldn't give any money at all. That's it. Whose doctor is more believable? And then the 12 people in the jury are going to decide who do they believe, how much money do they want to give. There is no exact science here. Of course, there's no exact amount of money. Okay, now we're on task D, the last part of your midterm. And this is called vicarious liability. We'll get through this today, and then we should be done with torts and we can start on contracts, which is good. So vicarious liability is when one person is legally responsible for another person. Think of it like a parent being responsible for a child. If a 10-year-old child comes up and punches you and breaks your nose, you can't really sue a 10-year-old child, but you could certainly sue his parents or her parents. You can always sue the parents of a child. The other time we see this is with employers. You see it with parents and you see it with employers. Those are the two common times. Employers are generally responsible for the torts of their employees. Employers are generally responsible for the torts of their employees. And this kind of responsibility is called vicarious. Vicarious means one person is responsible for another person. We call this responde ad superior. Because in the law, when we talk about a boss and an employee, generally we talk about a master-servant relationship. That's what we call it. We don't really call it a boss-employee relationship. We call it a master-servant relationship. And we think that the master should answer. Responde ad superior. Let the master answer. Now, sometimes it's really clear why the boss should be responsible. Other times, it's really not clear. So we need to understand the rules of when you can sue the boss. Jody, why does everybody always want to sue the boss if they can?
Because the boss has the responsible.
The boss has what?
Has the responsible to the workers.
Give me a better answer, someone. Why do you always want to sue the boss?
He has the most money?
That's right. The boss has money. So you want to sue the boss. You don't want to sue the employees. Employees don't have a lot of money a lot of times. You know, you want to sue the boss. So how do you sue the boss? Well, let's start with some examples. Imagine that a truck driver causes a crash and it injures someone. In this case, the company would be liable for the tort of negligence. Now, the truck driver is also personally liable, but you'd prefer to sue the employer because the employer has more money. If you get hit by a truck, I mean, do you think a truck driver has enough money? You know, doctor's bills can be hundreds of thousands of dollars. You want to sue the company, of course. So let's start with a very basic example. I bring my car to a repair shop and I forget to put on the brakes. I put the car in neutral. And at the repair shop, the mechanic is Aruni. You're the mechanic, okay? And Aruni, your job, of course, is to bring the car into the garage and fix the car, whatever. You open the car, you look at it, but you also do not check the brakes. Now, I'm standing in front of the repair shop talking on the phone, and the car begins to roll. And it rolls and it hits me. So I sue Aruni and I say, Aruni, you had a duty of care to me, but you don't have a lot of money. So I'm going to sue the repair shop. This is Jordan's repair shop. I'm going to sue Jordan, who's the owner. Jordan was not even there that day. Okay, Jordan, you were at home doing other stuff. Am I going to win my case against Jordan?
I think yes.
Why? You didn't do anything to me.
Yeah, because I am the boss and I have to take care of everything. I have to make sure that all the cars, the brake are well.
Okay. What if, let me change the example a little. You hired a Rooney, and a Rooney is having a terrible, terrible day today. Recently, things have been bad. And so I bring in the car, I forget to put on the brakes, and a Rooney, she hates me because I am her ex-husband's lawyer. And when they got a divorce, I sued her and I took all of her money. So she hates me. And wait, she hates me. Aruni, you hate me. And she sees me talking on the phone. I'm helping someone else with a divorce to take all the money from them. And Aruni pushes the car at me and the car hits me. Jordan, are you responsible?
Is it the car has a brake or something, or the brake is broken?
No, the car has brakes.
Everything is good.
Yeah, everything's okay.
That's a Haruni fault. So she cannot sue me.
Okay, so let's make very clear this difference here. In my first example, Aruni was careless.
Yeah.
That's called negligence, right? In my second example, Aruni was not careless. She pushed the car on purpose. If an employee commits an act on purpose, that is not negligence.
Yeah, he cannot benefit from it.
Negligence is carelessness. That's not careless. She did it on purpose. That's a crime. And I cannot sue Jordan.
Can Jordan see like he couldn't foresee, that she's having a bad day, she having this problem with the...
Well, I mean, look, if Aruni had been arrested many times before for violence against people and then Jordan hired her, then maybe I could sue Jordan. Because I would say, now why would I sue Jordan? We've talked about this a little bit. Anybody? Can anybody tell me why I would sue Jordan? Yes, Florian.
It's like a legal responsibility.
Yeah, but what's the court case? What's the name of the tort that I would be suing Jordan for?
Neighbor
negligence.
Well, what kind of negligence?
I think the Jordan
what did Jordan do carelessly?
Hires someone,
yes. So the name of the case is negligent hiring.
Oh, okay.
Because he was careless. If Jordan had checked with her old boss, he would have found out that she was fired for being violent. If he had checked with any of her old bosses, he would have found out. But he was busy and he didn't bother checking. He was careless.
Or at least he took the responsibility over her, over
without being careful. If you want to hire someone, you have to be careful of who you hire.
Yes.
So he was careless. Now, was Aruni careless? No, she did that on purpose. Yes, Florian.
Few minutes ago, you said the difference is in one case, the employee did the wrong act by negligence. The second is the wrong act was premeditating. So because it was premeditated, the legal responsibility between the boss and the employee is different.
Is broken.
Is broken, sorry. But I have a question. Is there any legal responsibility where with your contract or within your legal responsibility, you are not responsible at all for your employee negligence or premeditate wrong act?
So generally, let's be clear, an employer is not responsible for something the employee does on purpose. You're saying the word premeditated, that's fine, same idea. So if Carlotta is my employee, okay, Carlotta, I have a restaurant. I sell hamburgers. And Carlotta, you are a cook at my restaurant, okay? And you see Harry come in and you're very angry at Harry. And you walk out of the kitchen and you take a knife and you cut him. Am I responsible for that? No. No way. I didn't know you were going to do that. That's crazy. You did that on purpose. You're responsible for that, unless I hired you carelessly. If I could have found out that you were a violent person, you just got out of jail, you cut people, maybe then that's my negligence. But if you did it on purpose, I'm not responsible. If you did something carelessly, then I might be responsible. Like in our case for the midterm where you accidentally put the wrong thing in his food. Now, to answer Florian's question, is there any time where I'm not responsible no matter what? Let's look at the example of Uber. Everybody know the company Uber, right? Right now, Uber is being sued because they say that their drivers are not employees. There are two things you need to sue the boss. Number one, was the worker an employee? Was Carlotta my employee? Was Aruni my employee? If the answer is no, you can't sue me, the boss. So what Uber says, they say the people we have driving the cars, they're not employees. They're called independent contractors. We're going to learn that in like 10 minutes. You know, but they're called independent contractors. And therefore, Uber says you can't sue us. And right now, Uber is being sued in court by a lot of different drivers who say, listen, we work full time. We work 8 hours a day. We work 5 days a week. We don't have health care. We should be employees. But Uber doesn't want that because they're making a lot of money. So, okay, we'll get to that in a second. So the first rule is, was the worker an employee? The second rule is, did this happen in the course of employment? Let's say, going back to my example, Carlotta, she is a cook in my restaurant. And today, so part of my restaurant is that, Carlotta, you come out to the table and you prepare a salad fresh at the table. You have the vegetables and you cut them up and you add the dressing and you do that at the table. It's something we have at the restaurant. So Carlotta, you go to the table where Harry is sitting with Jody and Florian, and you're making the salad, and the knife slips out of your hand and accidentally cuts his hand. Now that was an accident. You didn't do it on purpose. So that is negligence. Now, if you're my employee, then Harry could sue me because this happened while you were working. What if instead, let's say that, Harry, you go to a party at Carlotta's house and it's 3 o'clock in the morning and everybody's super drunk. And you're like, hey, Carlotta, you're a cook. Hey, how about you make us all some food? And Carlotta's like, yeah, totally. And she takes the knife and she's drunk and it slips out of her hand and cuts you. Can you sue me, Harry?
No.
Why not?
It's not within the course of employment. And
right.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Now, the course of employment, and that answer is correct for now. We'll expand this a little bit in a moment, but course of employment in this case would mean during working hours, right? So this didn't happen during working hours. There are a couple of other examples that are still in course of employment, so we'll learn that in a second. But I want to do one more thing and then we'll take a break. So the one more thing that I want to talk about, so this case we're talking about is called Humble Oil. It's a very classic case. You can use this in Task D. And this just says what is vicarious liability. So when you're looking for the definition of vicarious liability, you get it from this case. Now, my question is, why can we sue the boss? And I said before, well, one reason is the boss has more money. But how is that fair? Right? So let's say Jordan owns this car repair shop, this mechanic shop. Jordan is the owner. And Aruni, where's Aruni? Okay, Aruni, there you are. So Aruni, you didn't do this on purpose. It's an accident. Okay, you just didn't check the brakes and the car rolls and hits me. Now, Aruni, you're a repair person at this shop. I don't want to sue you. I want to sue Jordan because he has more money. But do you think it's fair, Aruni? Do you think it's fair for me to sue Jordan?
To say to the court, it's fair.
Why? What did he
I don't
do?
have any.
So what?
the
I mean,
boss.
Jordan worked his whole life and studied hard and opened up this car mechanic business. Why should he have to pay me for your mistake?
He's responsible.
Yeah, but why? Caitlin, can you tell me why? Why is he responsible? He was at home. He's worked hard his whole life. Aruni was careless. I mean, you understand the problem, right? This doesn't make sense.
Yeah, but it's the same. If you think about the children and the parents, you know, think the shopping, the Jordan shop is like his children. Everything inside of there is like it's his responsibility. Even though he's not there, he's a good boss and so on. He's care everything, but you know, if there is no Jordan shop, there is no
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
working, you know.
Okay. So
It's not about fear.
in the law, we have 6 reasons. We have 6 reasons that you could sue the boss. Let's go through these 6, then we'll take a break. Number 1, authorization. Did, and I will show you this case a little bit later from 1697, did the boss Jordan tell his employee, you can move the car into the garage? Yes, right? That's her job. To get, I give her the car, I give her the keys. Her job is to move it into the garage and then fix it. So he gave her that authorization. And that is just like Jordan having the sort of responsibility for it. He gave his responsibility to do that to her. He authorized her. Now, did he authorize her to do it carelessly? No, of course not. Doesn't matter. Number 2, distribute losses. This goes to the idea that the victim should never pay. In the law, the victim should never pay. Now, let's say that this car, that Aruni was careless, the car rolls and it hits me, and I am in very serious physical pain. I go to the hospital, and this operation is going to cost $3 million. Now, Aruni definitely doesn't have that money. She could work her whole life. She'll never make that money in this job. Jordan maybe does have that money, and we cannot ask the victim to pay. So what could Jordan do? Well, if it's a big company, he could maybe pay all of the employees a little less. You know, he'll do whatever he has to do, but we can't make the victim pay. So in some situations, we'll let you sue the boss. Now, let me jump forward to another one. Why is this fair that we could sue the boss? Does Jordan make money from Aruni? Yeah, right? He gets a benefit from Aruni, and you can't have one without the other. You can't say Jordan gets 100% of the benefit, but none of the responsibility. If he gets a benefit from her, he's also got to be responsible if he loses money because of her.
Sir, I have one question about before you said about the Uber.
Yeah.
About the Uber, like the Uber is benefited from the driver, right? The driver is an employee.
That's very true, but they argue that those drivers are not employees. We'll get to that in a minute. We're not at that point yet. Right now, we're not talking about what is an employee yet. So let's go back. To me, this is the most important one. Accident prevention, I think it's most important. I want you to talk about that in your midterm. So if Jordan has no responsibility for his employees, let's say we can't sue Jordan. Okay, we can't sue him no matter what. Now, Jordan, we can't sue you no matter what. Do you care if Aruni is a very careful worker?
Yeah, I do care.
Why? He can't sue you.
Yeah, but she cannot sue me also. Still, she's working for me. I do care about that.
Oh, she's a good worker. She's good. She's just not careful. She hurts people.
That I have to.
Do you
I
care?
have to. No, I
No.
don't care.
Right. If
No, I
she's a
don't.
really, really good worker, who cares if you can't be sued? So we need to make sure in the law that you can be sued. This is the best way for us to make sure that a boss cares who they hire. We need bosses to care who they hire. We need bosses to be very careful. Let's say that Jordan opens a pizza restaurant. Now, Jody wants to be your driver, and Jody drives super fast to deliver the pizzas. He actually does get in a lot of accidents, and he kills people sometimes. But you can't be sued, and he's a very fast driver, goes through all the red lights. Would you hire him?
No, I cannot
Why
hire
not?
him.
Why?
I cannot, because I have to say I have to. The way he's driving is not safe. So I know
Well,
that.
I mean, maybe you have a moral or ethical problem with it, but it's getting the pizza there fast.
And before I hire him, I have to check on his history.
Only if you're going to be sued.
Yeah.
If you're safe and you can't be sued, why would you care? Except, of course, your reputation. You want to have a good reputation, so that does matter. But, you know, we really want bosses to be very careful who they hire. And therefore, bosses are responsible for accident prevention. They have to be. This is the #1 reason. Employer negligence. This is what I said before, negligent hiring. If you hire your cousin, you hire your son, your uncle, your father, your mother, you hire a girl because she's pretty, you hire your girlfriend, your boyfriend, anything like that, that's careless. You're not hiring this person because they were right for the job. And if they hurt someone, the boss should be responsible because they were careless in hiring this person. And finally, deep pockets. Deep pockets just says your pocket is very deep. The boss has more money. And America is not truly a capitalist society. It is socialist. And in this society, we believe, you know, how did Jordan make his millions of dollars? Well, he made it because he lives in this country where the laws have helped him to be able to open a business and be able to hire people and be able to rent this land. And I mean, all the laws are helping him. So because he has more money, sometimes he has to lose some. That's just capitalism. So these are our 6 reasons that will let people sue the boss. But like I said, I think accident prevention is really the most important. Any questions about those 6? No? Okay, let's take a 10-minute break. We'll come back and then we'll talk about the rest of this employee stuff. Okay, we are recording. Now, let's find out what is the penalty for chewing gum in Singapore. I forget, I looked it up at one point. $100,000 or prison up to 2 years.
Wow.
That's the first time penalty for the selling of gum. First time.
Wow.
Why do they make it so high?
To stop people not to use it.
That's it. They don't want people to do it. So if you don't want people to jaywalk, put them in handcuffs. That's it. You can. It's the law.
Okay.
Sorry,
Okay.
you cannot have a chewing gum in Singapore? You cannot use one? I don't understand.
Sorry?
Selling gum, chewing gum, right?
Chewing gum, yes.
You cannot use this, right?
Oh, no, you cannot. Well, no, you can at home. You just can't outside.
So if I'm in a public place, I cannot mash my gum, right? I
No,
cannot
you
eat.
cannot.
Really?
Yes. They
Why?
do not want gum on the streets.
On the street, but in my mouth, outside of my house.
Yeah. Can't.
So I didn't throw it on the street. It's just in my mouth.
Hey, good luck. Go to Singapore and try it. Let me know what happens.
I don't want it. I don't have the money.
Okay, so our next question and this is what we're trying to finish up today. We have two things we'd like to do, two big things we'd like to do to get if we can. So we'll move a little bit fast. But what I want to know today is, first of all, what's the difference between these two things, an employee and an independent contractor? And again, there's a bunch of tests that I need to tell you. So first of all, let's start with the definition. Oh, wait, can you see my screen share? Oh, that's weird. It said the screen share was paused. We are recording. Let me try that again. Let me share my screen. Okay, now can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Employee versus.
That was weird. Okay. So let's start with the definition. There are three things I need you to know. Number one, an employee receives compensation. What does that mean? Anybody, what does that mean?
Salary.
Money?
Get paid. Does it have to be money? What if, I don't know who said that, but let's say, Min, if you work for my company, okay, you're a salesperson for my company, and we don't have a lot of money right now, but I give you stock. Is that compensation?
Yes.
Sure. What if I let you use a company car?
Yes.
Free airplane tickets?
Yeah.
Sure. You know, free food. It doesn't matter what it is. It just means you have to get paid somehow. If you don't get paid, Min, you are not an employee. What are you if you work for me but you don't get paid?
Independent contractor?
No. What does it mean when you work for somebody? Yes, I don't know who said it, but volunteer. A volunteer works but doesn't get paid. An intern is close, but an intern gets experience. And usually you can always get a letter of recommendation. But volunteers don't get paid. Employees get paid. Number two, you have to perform services. So if, let's say, Min is my cousin, okay, and I have this big company, and I say, Min, I'm going to give you a salary of 5,000 RMB a month. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to come to work. I'm just giving it to you, but I'm going to put your name on our list as an employee. Is Min actually my employee? Min, are you actually my employee?
Oh, okay.
No.
No, because you don't do anything. Employees have to do something, some kind of service, or else it's just a gift. And gifts are taxed. You can't just give people money. You have to pay a gift tax. So this would be just cheating, right? Wouldn't all the biggest, richest people in the world just hire their kids with a gigantic salary of 10 million a year and just not pay taxes on the gift? That's what they would all do. So you can't do that. And last, will and control. These two ideas, will and control. Another way to say it is what and how. So Min, if you're my employee and you're a salesperson, can I tell you what to sell? Like, okay, Min, this week we're selling computers, or this week we're selling phones, or this week we're selling whatever. I can tell you what we're selling, right?
Yeah.
Can I tell you how to do it? Can I say, okay, Min, when you answer the phone, you have to say, welcome to David's warehouse, and you have to tell them today's special. Can I tell you that's how I want you to do the job?
Yeah.
And if you don't do it, you answer the phone and you say, hey, everybody, it's Min, what's up? Can I say, listen, Min, that's not how we do business here. We say, welcome to David's warehouse. And if you don't do it, I could fire you, right?
Yeah.
Can I tell you that I need you to wear professional clothes in the office that say David's warehouse?
Yes.
Sure. I can tell you what to do, and I can tell you how to do it. That makes you my employee. I can control what work is done, and I can control how the work is done. Now, let me change that example. Let's say that my toilet is broken, and I need Jody to come fix my toilet. So I hire Jody. I call him up at Jody. Jody, this is your company, okay? You have a company, and it's called Jody's Plumbers. And lots of people work for you. But I call you up. I say, hey, Jody, my toilet's broken. And Jody, you come to my house. Can I tell you, Jody, it's the toilet on the first floor, not the second floor, the first floor. Can I tell you what toilet to fix?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, of course. Right? You don't just walk around looking around at my toilets. I tell you which toilet to fix. Can I say, oh, Jody, I'm sorry, before you fix the toilet, here's a special uniform. You have to put this on. Can I tell you what clothes to wear?
Yeah.
What? Really?
It's
If
like
you're a
fight.
plumber, and have you ever had a plumber come to your house or your apartment?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay. Florian, have you ever had a plumber come to your house in your life? Yes. Can you tell them what clothes to wear?
Usually he already have the outfit. That's how I can recognize him. So I
So
don't.
can you give him other clothes and make him wear it? Can you tell him he has to wear a tie?
I can't.
I have a very formal bathroom, and you have to wear a tie when you fix my toilet.
That's not required. But if he wants, he can. If he doesn't, but usually not.
Can you
no
tell
need.
the plumber what time he's allowed to eat lunch?
No.
Like you're only allowed from 12:30 to 1 o'clock. That's it. That's the time you eat.
Actually, I pay him only for the services. Everything around the services is not on me. That's on
And
him.
that's the how. You cannot tell him how to do his job. If you don't like the way he does it, you can fire him. You can tell him what to do, but you can't tell him how to do it. And this is the key difference between an employee and an independent contractor. An employee has what's called a contract of service. A contract of service says, like my example with Min, she works for me. I can tell her what to do. I can tell her how to do it. But Jody, who's a plumber, he has a contract for services. And I know they look the same or look similar, but they're different ideas. So for example, an hourly paid construction worker who's working full time will be an employee. But a worker who's building a wall in my garden for $1,000 is an independent contractor. I can't tell him what time he's allowed to eat lunch. I can't tell him whether or not he's allowed to bring water. I can't tell him what clothes to wear. If I don't like his services, I could get someone else, but he can do it how he wants to do it. So again, let's be clear on this. An independent contractor, and again, that's a contract for services, that is someone who gets paid, they do work, but you can't control them. The difference between an employee and an independent contractor is one word: control. You can control an employee's behavior. You can't control an independent contractor. You guys have taken Ubers maybe in your life. Do Ubers wear a uniform that all looks the same and says Uber? Is there an Uber uniform, Harry?
No.
No, there is not. Does Uber demand that every worker eat lunch at the same time?
No.
No, they do not. Does Uber demand that everybody must come in at exactly 8 o'clock and must stop at exactly 6 and make those kind of hours? Or could you choose when you wanted to work?
You can choose.
And that's why Uber says these aren't employees. They say these are independent contractors. Now, this is really, really big. Why? Well, let's make sure we understand this, and then let's explain why this is so important. Let's look at an example. I own lots of fast food restaurants, and the name of my company is Big David Burger. These days, I sell franchises. People pay me money to use the Big David Burger name. I sell them that right, and I supply them with the things they need for the restaurant. My company started in New York City, but there are Big David Burger restaurants all over the world. I don't operate or control these restaurants. I just get money and they use my name, but I don't manage them. Now, one day, an employee at Big David Burger Shanghai sets a customer's car on fire and the customer is angry. The customer sues me because I'm Big David. Nicola, 2 questions to see if you can sue the boss. I'm the boss. Number 1, are they my employees? Well, we have a definition of employee now. This franchise, these people at this franchise, do they make money? Right? Do they make money and that I get that money? Yes, they make money. I receive compensation, and so do they. Number 2, do they do work? Yeah, sure, they make hamburgers and sell them. Here's the key though. Number 3, can I control how this company does their work? I can control what they sell, right? Just like McDonald's can control what they sell. Can McDonald's in New York City, the headquarters, it's actually not in New York, I think it's in Illinois, but anyway, can the headquarters control in Shanghai how the boss deals with the employees on a daily basis? Can McDonald's headquarters control that? Remember, this is just a franchise. They just pay me money and they use my name. That's it. Do I have anything to do with how they train their employees or how they deal with their employees?
So complicated, but nothing.
Nothing. They just pay me and use my name. That's it.
So it's like regarding to the product per se, right? I mean,
well, hey, if I sell them French fries and the French fries get customers sick, then maybe because I sold them the French fries.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying this is a franchise. I'm just giving them the right to use my name.
Yeah, I see.
Now, I have no control over how they deal with their customers. So they are not my employees. The owner is independent from me because I don't control the owner. They just use my name. Now, I can tell them you have to use the logo, you have to sell this food, whatever. I could tell them, but I can't control them. And therefore, the owner was an independent contractor, and I am not responsible for his torts. So now we have the number 1 big reason why it matters if someone is an employee or not. Now let's go back and think about Uber again. Uber says that their drivers are not employees. Now, Carlotta, are you here? No?
Yes.
Yes? Your camera's off.
Yeah, the connection goes, the video stops.
Okay, Carlotta. Uber says that their workers are not employees, okay?
Yes.
Now, if an Uber worker is driving a car and he has an accident and you are injured, he is not an employee. Can you sue Uber?
No.
No. Do you think Uber drivers have a lot of money?
No.
No, because they're Uber drivers. Do you understand why Uber would never, ever want these thousands and tens of thousands of people to be their employees?
Yeah, so they don't hold responsibility.
Exactly. It's huge. So this is, and there are other reasons too that we'll learn in a minute, but this is huge. There are so many businesses throughout China that will hire people, and in the contract it will say, you're not an employee. Be very careful of this. They'll say you're an independent contractor. Why? Because they don't want to be responsible for your torts. There is no vicarious liability for an independent contractor. And that is huge.
David, for example, in Brazil, we used to have these cabs, taxi. So sometimes I own the car and the license, but I can, I don't know, lend it to someone else, right?
Oh, really? In New York City, in America, you couldn't. In America, you got a license to drive the taxi. That license was given to you by a company.
Yeah, no. In Brazil, it can be personal, like, yeah, anyway. So you can lend it. Of course, there's like a permission to only drive and permission to owner and to drive and own the cab and so on. So I mean, the guy who just ride the car is not the employee from the one who have the permission, right?
I'm not sure I understand your question. I think the question is, you have a company. You're saying a person has an individual license. They're not hired by a company.
Yeah, no.
So, okay, I go get a license in Brazil to drive a taxi, just me, David. And then I lend the car to you and you hit someone.
Yeah, exactly.
They can sue you and they can sue me.
Can sue both, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I gave you authority to drive the taxi. I represent that you're going to do it safely.
Mm-hmm.
And sir, about the Uber, you said Uber doesn't have an employee, right?
Well, I mean, that's in court right now. But
okay.
Yes.
So how about Didi in China here? They consider them as an employee or not?
I think they are independent contractors.
Okay, since different country, it could be different rule or something.
Yes, but I think they are independent contractors because they do not get health care. And that's another thing. So let's just review. Everything, the key is the amount of control. That's the key to, are you an employee or not? Because in Uber, they don't control them. I mean, they don't control them. They don't tell them what to wear. They don't tell them when to eat. They don't tell them when to start or when to end. And so they say, we don't control them. And that's the key question, is how much control is there? So this difference is so critical because it's not just about liability or responsibility or being sued. It's not just that. Look at what else. If you have an employee, you have to pay taxes. Uber does not pay taxes for their drivers. If you have employees, you have to give them health care and insurance. Uber does not give health care or insurance to their drivers. I mean, this is huge. So governments try to be careful about this. They do try to be careful. Even in China, you can punish. Even in China, you could report a company to the local labor bureau if they are hiring people but not paying taxes. They're hiring them as independent contractors. Now, how do we know? How do we know if someone is an employee or not? So we said that there's this idea of control. That was the first test. Okay, we call these the employment status tests. How to tell the difference between an employee and an independent contractor. So originally, the test was just the control test. That was it, the control test. And that is, can I tell you what to do? And can I tell you how to do it? That's it. But there's a problem with this test. Think about doctors in a hospital. Okay, so let's say that I am the CEO of a hospital. And in my hospital, I have lots of doctors, of course. And one of my doctors is Dr. Junpyo. Okay, Junpyo, you're a doctor in my hospital. And Aruni is a doctor, and Min is a doctor, and Caitlin is a doctor. You're all doctors in my hospital, and I'm the CEO. Caitlin, can I tell you, okay, today, Caitlin, I need you to work in the ER department. Or, Min, I need you to work on, this department. Can I tell you what I need you to do? Or let's say, Aruni, you're a specialist in bones. And I say, okay, look, Aruni, we have a bunch of different patients. I need you to do this one first. Can I tell you guys what to do? I'm the CEO.
Yes.
Sure, I can tell you what to do. Caitlin, can I watch you do surgery as the CEO and say, no, 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 Caitlin, cut him this way. Don't cut him that way, cut him this way. No, 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 don't open the skin that way. No, 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 don't take that out. No, no. Can I control you like that if you're a doctor? Let me ask it another way. Would it be effective for me to do that?
No.
No.
I say that, but you probably aren't a doctor. Maybe you're just a businessman, or maybe even been in surgery for a long time, so it'd be
Sure.
ineffective.
So let's say you've been a doctor for 20 years. It would be ridiculous for me to control you like that. So you, Min, Aruni, Junpyo, you've all been doctors for 20 years. What, am I going to run from room to room telling you how to cut people? Of course not. But that means you failed the control test. So we need another test. And this is called the part and parcel test. Part and parcel says, are you part of the business? Is Dr. Caitlin part of this hospital? Yes, she is. And we use this test for high-level jobs, doctors, lawyers, architects, where people have done this job for 20 years. You don't want to tell them how to do it. You would not want to tell every lawyer in a company how to try the case. You want to give them, you want to trust them. You hired them because they're good, and you trust them to do it right. And everybody has their own style, and that's important. So control tests didn't always work. So we started the part and parcel test. But then there was a problem, another problem. And there was a famous case. And the case is called ready mixed concrete. And let me just tell you what happened so you understand. So there's this company, and it's a company called Ready Mixed Concrete. And what the company does is they sell and they deliver concrete. Everybody understand what is concrete? Like cement? Okay. They sell and deliver concrete. Now let's say that Aruni, you are one of the workers in this company, and you've been working here for like 10 years. You're a good employee. And I'm the CEO. And I tell you, Aruni, we have an opportunity for you. We are going to try to help our employees. So Aruni, we're going to give you a loan, a small loan, a micro loan. And what we'd like you to do is buy a truck. Now with that truck, you will become an independent contractor. So you'll start delivering the concrete. What we're trying to do is we're trying to build you, Aruni, from an employee to a small business owner. So we're trying to do the right thing here. We're trying to help our employees to become small business owners. So we want you understand this business. So we're going to give you a loan to buy a truck. You just pay us back at a very good interest rate slowly. But Aruni, you must use our company logo on your truck. You must wear our company uniform. And you can only deliver concrete for our company, no one else. But you're an independent contractor. Aruni, are we controlling what you do?
Yeah.
Yeah, you deliver
Something
concrete. Are we controlling how you do it?
Yeah, because it's only to you.
It's only to us. You have to wear our uniform and you have to have our logo on the truck.
Yeah, that
But the contract said you're an independent contractor. Are you really?
No.
No. And that's what happened in this very, very famous case called Ready Mixed Concrete. You had this person, and the person's name was Thomas Latimer, and the facts are just the same that I said. So Latimer took up this chance to buy a truck. The contract said he's an independent contractor, but he had to put the company colors on the truck. He had to wear a company uniform. He could only use the truck for this purpose. That's it. Now, he wanted healthcare. But to get healthcare, he needed to be an employee. So he went to court. And the court created a new test. Okay, and you need to know this. This is task D on your essay, your midterm essay, is understanding, is this girl who works in the cook in the restaurant, is she an employee? So you need to understand these tests. So we just did the first two tests, control and part and parcel. right? You'll need to explain what is an employee. You'll need to explain what is an independent contractor. Then you'll need to explain what's the difference. Then you'll need to explain these tests. So test 1, control. Test 2, part and parcel. Now we have the ready mix test. And the ready mix test is 3 parts. Number 1 is called work for wage. Can you see that this is similar to one of the parts of the definition of employee? How is this similar to the definition of an employee? Who can tell me the 3 parts of the definition of an employee?
First is if you give you time or knowledge against money, against a salary.
Okay, wait, okay, yeah, continue. So number 1, you do something and you get money or you get payment. Number 2?
Does the person above you or control you?
Well, that's number 3. What's number 2?
Oh, do you have a contract with this
No.
person?
We just learned this. This makes me think you guys are not taking notes. Somebody tell me.
Oh, it's like
If you're getting compensation.
That's 1. If you're getting compensation, what's number 2?
You're doing something for him.
Are you performing service? Are you doing something? And what's number 3?
Are you getting control from your boss?
Controlled what and how? That's the 3. Those 3 make an employee. Are you getting compensation? Are you doing something? And are you controlled? So what's this first one? Are you getting compensation? Work for wage, right? So that's the first one. They took the definition of employee and they took part of that. And they said, are you getting compensation is the first one. Number 2, they kept this control test. And number 1, you see, they also added the word service. So really this is 1 and 2, and this is 3. So we still have right here the definition of employee, but they added something. They added this. And this just says, do you have a real contract of service? Now that's not very clear, but that's what they said. Do you have a real contract of service? Okay, so now this is called the ready mixed concrete test. Now, the next case that was really important was a little bit similar, and it happened in Hong Kong in 1990. So you had this worker in Hong Kong, and this worker was a construction worker. Okay, now this construction worker was an independent contractor. They're working on their own, but they had a lot of experience, okay, like 20 years of experience, and they were doing construction for a company. But of course, they did not bring their own construction tools. You know, that would be crazy. So of course, they use the company's construction tools, and they come every day. They're not really supervised because they have 20 years of experience. But, you know, sometimes the boss will watch them a little bit. And they got, this person, Li Ting Song is his name, he got injured. He wanted the company to pay his insurance, but that's only going to happen if he's an employee. And the company said, no, you're an independent contractor. And so the question is he an independent contractor? So looking at this, so you have this construction worker, okay, he's paid by the hour, but he uses the tools provided by the job. He cannot hire his own helpers. He's not responsible for investment in the project. He's just a worker. He doesn't set his own prices. He's paid hourly. He works sometimes 9 to 5, and sometimes people check on his work, and he was injured on the job. So we need to know if he's an employee or not. And what the court said in this case, Li Chung, they said, yes, he's an employee. Now, why is he an employee? Well, let's look at these tests. So looking at the ready mixed concrete test, number 1, does he work for money? Yes. Number 2, and does he perform service? Yes. Number 2, can they control what he does? Sure. Can they control how he does his work? Well, they can, but they don't usually. They don't usually control it because he has a lot of experience, but they could. But the problem is it's not really clear if he has a contract or not. So they made what's called the mixed test, and they added some new rules. So for example, they said, here's another rule. Did you provide your own equipment? Now let's talk again about my example. Min is my employee. Min is a salesperson in my company. Now Min, when you come to work every day, do you have to bring your own cash register or can you use mine?
I can use yours.
Of course, no salesperson would ever bring their own cash register, right? Any tools that you need at work, the tools are here. You're my employee and you come and you use my tools, right? Because you're an employee. Now, what about Jody, who comes to fix my toilet? Jody comes to fix my toilet. Is it okay if Jody says, okay, David, I'm here to fix your toilet. Where are the tools? Do I have to give Jody the plumbing tools to fix a toilet? What do you think, Jody? Does a plumber bring their own tools?
They bring their own tools.
Yeah, because you don't work for me. You work for
Yes.
you. Independent contractors, they bring their own tools. Employees, they usually use the company's tools. So here's another thing that helps us understand if somebody is an employee. What about this? Can the worker hire people to help them? I am teaching you law. Can I hire my friend Andrew because I don't want to teach you and I'll give Andrew some money and he'll teach you instead? Can I do that? Nicola, why not?
Yeah, depend on his qualification.
Andrew, his
think
qualification is that he is a nice guy.
Was
Okay, let me change it. Andrew's a lawyer. Can
So-
I, David, hire someone to do my job for me?
I think not, because you are the David. The university hired you.
Yeah, the
Someone
university hired me. The university didn't hire Andrew.
Your skills.
You know, I can't delegate this job. This is my job. I have to do this job because I'm an employee. Employees have to do the work themselves. Now, what if I call Jody to fix my toilet? And remember, Jody has a whole company. And Jody is very busy today. Can he send one of his workers, Harry, to come and fix my toilet? Sure. Jody doesn't need to do it himself. Someone needs to do it. When you call a company to fix your toilet, you don't get to choose who comes. They send someone to fix your toilet. You don't get to say like, hey, I need someone to fix my toilet. Tell me what my choices are. Describe them for me. I want to choose the person who fixes my toilet. No, it doesn't work like that because they're not employees. They're independent contractors and you don't get to control them like that. Independent contractors can delegate. Now, what about the financial risk? Number 3 and 4 go together. 3 and 4 go together. Financial risk and financial reward. I teach you guys law, and right now, let's say there's about 20 people in this class, not 20 people here today, but 20 people in this class. Florian, if next semester there's 30 people in this class, will I get more money?
Nope.
Nope. What if next semester there's only 10 people in this class? Will I get less money?
Neither.
Nope, because I'm an employee and my salary has nothing to do with the success or failure of this company. Now, of course, if the company goes bankrupt, I could lose my job. But aside from that, if the company makes more money this month or less money this month, that doesn't affect my salary because I'm an employee. Now think about Jody being a plumber. If Jody fixes more toilets this month, will he get more money? Sure. And if he fixes less, will he get less money? Sure, because he has financial risk and reward because he's an independent contractor. So now we put all of our tests together and we have all of these different tests. The control test, the payment test. Here's another one. Are you paid by invoice or by monthly wage? I'm an employee. I get a salary every month. Do I have to pay Jody every month? No, I pay him when he fixes my toilet. That's it. An invoice. I pay him one time for his work. What about holidays and sick days? As a teacher, as a full-time employee, do I get holidays, paid holidays? If it's National Day, do I get paid holidays? Sure.
Yes.
Everybody does. Now, what if Jody is fixing my toilet? Can he call me and say, David, these 7 days are National Day, so I'm not going to fix your toilet, but you need to pay me? No, of course not. I pay Jody if he fixes the toilet. That's it. He doesn't get holidays or sick days. Tools, we saw delegation, we saw financial risk, multiple employers. I am an employee. I have one boss. Jody could have 25 jobs today. You know, so all of these tests show us if somebody is an employee or an independent contractor. Let's look at an example. Charlie and his uncle start giving casual tours at a local chocolate factory. They're paid by the hour and only work 4 hours a week when they're free. They're good tour guides and they have lots of free time. After 5 years, they give tours about 25 hours a week, but they still only work when they're available and when they want to. Recently, they demanded a raise and they want a clearly written contract. And the factory says, no, look, you're not employees, you're independent contractors. Let's go through this, Harry. Are they employees or independent contractors? Let's start with the ready mixed 3 tests. So number 1, do they work for money?
Sorry, let me just read it again. I wasn't listening to the story.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, what was your question?
Do they work for money?
Yes.
Okay. Number 2, the control test. Can the bosses tell them what to do? Like give a tour of this room, but don't give a tour of that room, things like that.
Yeah, they can tell them what to do, yeah.
Can they tell them how to do it? Like you must work every Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
No.
No.
No, yeah.
They work when they choose to work. Are they employees?
No, they are independent contractors.
Correct. They are independent contractors, okay? This was Carmichael versus National Power. The facts are very similar. You had 2 women. They worked as casual guides. They were good. They were working 25 hours a week, but they only worked when they chose to work, and that's it. They're not employees. If you're an employee, you don't get a choice. I can't tell my boss, no, I don't want to teach law this semester. Give me something else. It doesn't work like that. I'm an employee.
So, David, when we have this kind of independent contract, so the employee must give you invoices, right? Must be a small business.
You're asking me if my company that I work for must be a small business?
Yeah, no, I mean, for example, if I am an independent employee.
Wait.
Can I,
employee or independent contractor? You said independent employee. That's not a thing.
Independent contractor.
Okay.
So, for example, in that example that you gave us about the cement company.
Yes.
Right? So that
Although
guy,
in that company, he was an employee, not an independent contractor.
Yeah, but when he bought the truck,
they told him you are an independent contractor.
Ah, I see. But he's actually not.
Well, let me give an example. So I hire you to work in my company. Okay, my company, we sell men's clothes. It's the same company where Min works. And she gets you a job. And I say, okay, Nicola, here's your contract. And it says independent contractor agreement. That's what it says in big letters. And it says, I understand I'm an independent contractor. It's the first thing. That means David does not pay my insurance. David does not pay my taxes. And David does not have vicarious liability. Please sign your name. You sign your name. Now, in the rest of the contract, it says, you wear a uniform. You work 9 to 5. You can take lunch from 12 to 12:45. You must stay until 5 every day. You can only wear clothes that we sell here during the time you work here. And your jobs include, you must clean with everybody, like clean the carpets once a week. And, you know, it's all these things you must do. Are you an independent contractor?
Yeah, it looks like I'm an employee.
And you are.
I see. Okay.
This is not different than if I give Aruni a contract and the contract says in big letters on the top, tiger agreement. And the first sentence says, I promise I am a tiger. And Aruni signs her name. I will be a tiger. And Aruni signs her name. She's not a tiger. It doesn't matter.
But my question is like, this contract is David company with Nicola. So, but if I am like Nicola company, but my company is just me, David company and Nicola company, but I do everything that you said. I'm still an employee.
Yes.
Even if I am a company.
We'll get to this later in the semester, but a company is a person.
Okay.
I didn't hire Nicola. I hired the person named Nicola Company.
I see.
You are that company, but you're not.
I see.
We'll get to this, you know, when we do company law, this idea of separating the person from the company, creating a legal person.
Okay.
Okay. So this is exactly what we just said. Workers may sometimes agree that they are independent contractors or that they're self-employed. That doesn't mean anything. It makes no difference. Aruni, if you sign a contract with me that says you're an independent contractor, but I control what clothes you wear and what time you come to work, are you an independent contractor? Say again?
No.
Good. So in this case, Ferguson, this is an example of a plaintiff who was given an hourly rate. They did construction on the building site. And the plaintiff was told, you are an independent contractor, just like Uber. No tax, no insurance. But the plaintiff did what the foreman told him and used the tools from the company, and he did it how the foreman told him, and he was injured at work. And they said, yeah, he's an employee. The court will almost always find that a person is an employee. We do not want companies taking advantage of this. Now, here's another one that's a little bit different. This is called Massey v. Crown. In this case, the plaintiff was an employee of an insurance company. In fact, they were a manager, a branch manager. For tax purposes, they agreed that he should work as before, but be self-employed. Then he ended the relationship in 1975 and claimed unfair dismissal. You can only do that if you're an employee. Now, in this case, do you understand why? Can anybody tell me why he is not an employee? He is an independent contractor. Can anybody tell me why?
The tax, because of the taxation.
Well, it's not about the taxation.
I didn't understand at all.
Okay,
What's
let
going on?
me change the example. So I have this men's clothing company, and I have two people working for me, right? Min works for me, and Nicola works for me. Now, Min has been working for me for a lot of years. Okay, Min, where are you? There you are. Min, you're a manager now. Okay, you've been working for my company for like 6 years, and you're a manager. Min, you there? Turn on your sound. Okay. Okay, so you're a manager. Now, Nicola just started recently. And Min, you're my employee. I pay your insurance, I pay your tax, everything. You're a manager. Nicola just started, and I give Nicola this contract that says independent contractor agreement, and Nicola signs it. But I still control him. I still tell him what to wear. I tell him what time to come to work. I tell him everything. You know, but the contract says he's an independent contractor. Now, in fact, is Nicola really an independent contractor in the eyes of the law, Min?
No.
No. In the eyes of the law, I'm controlling what he does and how he does it. He's an employee. Now, Min, you're definitely my employee. But Min, I have a good idea. Now, next year, why don't you stop being my employee and just let's change your contract so it says independent contractor. That's going to help you save money on taxes. Okay? And Min, you agree. So we change your contract and it says independent contractor and you sign your name. Now you want to quit and you want this special benefit called unfair dismissal that we'll learn later this semester, but you want this special benefit. You only get that if you're an employee. Min, are you currently my employee?
No,
Why not? Correct, but not why not.
because I signed a contract that
But so did Nicola. What's the difference, Min, between the way Nicola signed and the way you signed? Nicola, what's the difference between the way you two guys signed?
I think the tax.
It's not about taxes.
They dismiss their employee advantages. The one with the contractor contract.
Not about that.
I think like I wasn't aware about
Nicola, did you have a choice?
No.
I don't think so, yeah.
I gave you this contract and said, here's your contract, sign it. Min, did you have a choice?
Yeah.
yes, I have a choice.
Yeah, you did. You knew what you were doing, Min. You've worked for me for years. You're my employee. You chose on your own to accept that you would be an independent contractor and therefore, hey, okay, fine, you are. Because you did it understanding the difference. Okay, so in this first case, Massey, or sorry, in the second case, Massey, that's Min is example, you asked to become an independent contractor. Where in the first case, Ferguson, that would be Nicola, you had no choice. That's a big difference. Another big difference, Nicola, you were hired to just sell clothes. You're unskilled. Min has been a manager for 6 years. She's skilled. We expect her to understand the difference here. You don't have to understand. You're a salesperson at a clothing store. So these cases are different whether you knew what you were doing or not. We're not going to let you, Min, get away with this and play games with the legal system and call yourself an independent contractor because you want to save money. Nicola had no choice. Okay, that is everything about are you an employee? But remember, I said at the beginning, there are two tests. Number one, two tests to sue the boss. Number one, are you an employee? Number two, did it happen during the course of employment? So now we need to understand what this course of employment thing means. So employers are responsible for torts only if the tort happened during the course of the employment. So for example, if in class I won't push Jordan because now I know he's a bodyguard. I'll push I'll push Caitlin. Okay. Caitlin, you there?
I'm here. Oh, sorry, my video's off.
Okay. Caitlin, do you work for Jordan as a bodyguard?
No.
Okay, good. Then I'll push you. Okay. So I push Caitlin during class, and she falls down and gets hurt. Can she sue me?
Yeah.
Caitlin, can you sue me?
Yeah.
Sure. What about the school, CIP or Donghua? Could you sue them?
Yeah.
2 tests. Number 1, am I employee? Well, we can look at all the tests, but yes, I'm an employee. Number 2, did this happen during the course of employment? Yeah, it happened during class. You can sue Donghua. What if this actually happened over a holiday when we were not at school at all, and I accidentally hit you with my bicycle? Could you sue Donghua?
No. Unless it's
Probably not.
Because you'd still be like an employee, right? If it's paid leave.
Well, it doesn't matter if it's paid leave. I'm still an employee. But remember, there are 2 rules to sue the boss. Number 1 is the person, the worker, an employee. Yes, I am. Number 2, did it happen in the course of employment? So if this happens, you know, at 11 o'clock at night on a holiday, was that the course of my employment?
No.
No. So in that case, you couldn't sue Donghua. We have 4 things that are considered the course of employment. Now, number 1, of course, is when we said 9 to 5 on the job, right? Is the employee doing what he or she was authorized to do? So I am authorized to be at Donghua and to teach classes. That's what I'm authorized to do. So if I hurt you when I'm doing that, no, of course, that's usually 9 to 5. Now, what if, Caitlin, school ends at 6 and I'm still in my office, I'm just doing some work, and you come into my office and you say, hey, David, can I ask you a question? And I say, haha, it's 7 o'clock, school is over, and I push you. Can you sue me?
Still.
Why?
Yeah.
School is over.
Yeah, but you're still in school premises.
Yeah, I mean, this is still, I'm authorized to be here and be a teacher. It doesn't really matter if it's 9 to 5 exactly. This is what I'm authorized to do. I'm authorized to be in this office and to talk to students. So whatever happens at that place during any kind of work time is going to be number 1. It doesn't have to be exactly 9 to exactly 5 or 6. It doesn't really matter. If you're supposed to be there doing this job and you're there, that's it. Now, number 2, if this is something I was authorized to do, but I'm doing it carelessly, very similar to number 1, then of course, the boss can still be sued. So I'm teaching you carelessly, or I push you carelessly, or whatever I do carelessly. Just like I push you and, you know, anything like that. Now, remember my example from the beginning with, who is it who pushed a car at me? Was that a Rooney? It was a Rooney who checked the brakes and then got really angry at me for this crazy thing where I was a divorce lawyer and then she pushed a car at me, right?
The sun. Where are you going?
Sorry?
Yes, it was a Rooney.
Okay. So a Rooney, in that case, you couldn't sue the boss, Jordan, because you did it on purpose, right? Now, in the same way, if I push Caitlin on purpose, could Caitlin sue Donghua?
Yeah.
Yes, you could, but only for one thing, which would be negligent hiring. You'd have to prove that they hired me knowing that I was kind of a dangerous or violent person.
Which would be hard unless you like have.
Be very hard. You can't prove it.
In every university you worked at, you've like pushed people.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to be able to prove it. So if I did something on purpose, you're not really going to be able to sue Donghua. You know, unless they should have known and they hired me, you know, but you could try. Next is if I do something, a tort, while doing any act which is designed to help the employer. Now that's very different. That's not about time. And it's not about what I'm authorized to do. So let me give an example. I'm your law teacher, and this semester I am authorized to teach you law. That's it. Now let's say that, Harry, you have a big test coming up. It's not a law test at all. It's in fact a, what kind of test? You have a Chinese test coming up. And this Chinese test is critical. If you fail this test, you will not get a very good summer job. Okay, you need to pass this test. And I say, hey, Harry, come on, I speak really good Chinese. I'll just teach you. Come on, I'm a teacher here. And then I say, I want you to be I'm a CIP teacher. I want to help CIP. I'm going to teach Harry Chinese. And Harry, I teach you nothing but dirty curse words. You don't know, because you don't really know, but I'm teaching you all these bad words. You go to take the Chinese test and you totally fail. I was doing something to help CIP. Even if I did this at 11 o'clock at night with you over Zoom and it wasn't at school or whatever, or we met at your apartment on Sundays, it doesn't matter. If I'm trying to help CIP, I'm inside the course of employment. It makes no difference about the time. All that matters is the employee was trying to help the boss. Now, so these three are all course of employment. Number 4 is not course of employment. That's called a frolic of one's own. A frolic of one's own is when you're doing something that the boss didn't tell you to do. So let's go back to, well, let's say I have a restaurant and I sell pizza. And Jody, you deliver my pizzas, okay? Jody, you're smiling. You're much too happy. So you're clearly not paying attention to me. You would never be smiling that big. So you're looking at something. Okay, so look at me for a second. And you deliver pizza at my restaurant, okay?
Yeah.
Yes. And I say, okay, Jody, I need you to deliver this pizza, deliver it to Jordan. So you're driving on your scooter to Jordan's house, and on the way, you accidentally hit Harry. Okay,
Yeah.
You hit him with your scooter. Now, Harry, could you sue Jody? He just hit you with his scooter. He was driving carelessly, and he hit you.
Yeah.
Can you sue Jody?
Yes.
Sure, that's classic negligence. Can you sue me? I'm the owner of the pizza restaurant. Two questions. What's the first question?
Is he an employee?
Okay, that's the first question. Now, we could go through all the tests, but let's say that he is. Yes, he's an employee. Second question. Was he in the course of employment, right?
Yes.
Right.
So let's go through these. Number 1, did I expressly tell him you can drive a scooter with pizza?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, boom, he's in course of employment. Yes, you can sue me. That's it, right? Because he's doing something I told him he could do. Even if he's driving the wrong way on the sidewalk, if he's driving the wrong way on the sidewalk, then that is definitely negligent. But it doesn't matter because I authorized him to drive. Now, what if, Jody, I give you the pizza and I say, deliver this to Jordan. And you get on your scooter and you realize, oh my God, you forgot your earbuds. And you're like, okay, I need my earbuds to do this job. I'm gonna go drive home first and then I'll go to Jordan's. So they're different directions. You drive, Jody, you start to drive home and on the way home, you hit Harry. Now, Harry can still sue you, Jody, because you hit him. Harry, can you sue me? Did
No.
I authorize Jody to drive to his house?
No. You just
No.
authorized him to come
And
to
you
mine.
can't sue me because he did something entirely for his own benefit. If the employee does something entirely for their own benefit, they're outside course of employment. Is that clear? Let's look at a few examples. I work for, question?
Dave, just a question before. If Georgie, hits Harry during the commute from his house to the work, is it counts as working hours?
Very good question. Going to work and coming home
Yes.
are still work
Oh,
because you have to get there and you have to get home.
okay.
So yes, on your way to work is work. If I'm on the bus going to CIP and I start a fight with someone, I'm at work.
Ooh. Okay.
Good question. I work for a grocery store and part of my job is to take fruit on a cart outside and sell it throughout the neighborhood. Recently, a kid tried to steal some of the apples. So I pushed him away and I pulled the cart, but accidentally he fell down and the cart ran over his foot. So he sues the store. I don't have any money. I'm, a vegetable and fruit seller, but he sues the store and they say, hey, this is David's problem, not our problem. We told David is our employee. Okay, so Jordan, I am their employee, but was this course of employment? My job is to take fruit on a cart outside and sell it. Okay, that's my job.
Yeah.
Why did this kid get hurt?
Because you ran over him.
I ran over him. And so the company says, well, look at these 4 things. We never authorized David to run over somebody. His job is to sell fruit. He wasn't, but what about number 3? Why did I run over him?
You ran over him because you are rushing to deliver the fruit.
I'm not rushing to deliver it. Why did I run over him?
Accidentally.
Why did I run over him? Why did I run over him? Please, why did I run over him, Jordan?
To prevent him to rob, to prevent.
Okay, I wanted to prevent him stealing the apples.
Yeah.
Jordan, is this me trying to help the employer?
Yes.
Yes. And therefore it's course of employment. It doesn't matter that it wasn't 9 to 5. It doesn't matter they didn't authorize me to do this. None of that matters. I was trying to help the boss. So here's a case from 1927. Now, this was a terrible case. There was a boy who was kind of playing with, not even stealing, playing with a bag of sugar in 1927. To protect the sugar, the employee slapped the boy. He fell under the wagon and he lost his leg. Now, of course, they want to sue the company because the company has a lot of money, but this employee has like no money. But the court said, listen, the employee was trying to protect. Oh, yeah. So the employer was vicariously liable. They did have to pay for the boy's leg because this happened during the course of employment. I work for a company that sells fireworks, and I was delivering boxes of fireworks to a new restaurant that's about to open. While delivering them, I lit up a cigarette and I threw it on the ground. The wind blew the cigarette into the open box of fireworks. They all exploded, causing very serious damage to the restaurant, and they sue the company. And the company says, come on, we never authorized David to smoke cigarettes. That's crazy. We're a fireworks company. Junpyo. What am I authorized to do in this job?
To deliver and sell fireworks.
Okay, correct. Now, if an employee is authorized to do an act, but the employee is negligent, the employer will be liable. Was I delivering and selling fireworks?
Yes.
Yes, I was. Was I careless? Was I negligent?
Yes, you are negligent.
Oh, yes, I was, but it doesn't matter. I was doing what I'm authorized to do. Is the company responsible? Absolutely. In this case, you had a guy who was delivering gas from a tanker truck. He lights a cigarette and throws away the match. There's a huge explosion. And they said, yeah, of course the employer is responsible. The driver was hired to empty the tanker of gas, and that's what he was doing. He was just negligent. So if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, even if you're negligent, you are responsible. I work for a company that imports and delivers different household appliances from abroad. Our warehouse is shared between a few different companies. My job includes moving boxes and driving the van. So recently I got to work and there's a forklift belonging to another company in front of our company's van. Carlotta. Carlotta, you know what a forklift is, right? Carlotta? Aruni, you know what a forklift is, right?
No.
No, Caitlin, you know what a forklift is, right?
Yeah.
What is it?
Isn't it the, like in a construction, it has like the two prongs? Not construction, but you can also use it like a warehouse and it lifts stuff.
Yeah, it's like a little truck that picks stuff up and lifts it, right? Okay. So I get to work, Caitlin, and there's this forklift, and it's in front of our company's van. Now, my job is to drive the company's van, right? That's my job, moving boxes and driving the van. But I can't because there's a forklift in front of it. So, okay, I go with the forklift and I'm backing up and I accidentally ran into a worker. And the worker sues my company. And the company says, listen, David is not authorized to drive a forklift. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's correct that suing the company wouldn't work. It would.
Is
like,
this was I in the course of employment?
Yes, but
yes,
you're
why?
using another company's.
Why did I move? Why did I get in the forklift?
Because it was blocking your van.
Why did I want to unblock the van?
Because your job is to move boxes and drive the van.
Yeah, but so what? It was blocked. Can't I just like go and chill out and smoke cigarettes until somebody comes?
No, because you need to work to earn money.
It's not my fault.
Hourly rate.
It's not my fault that the forklift is blocking the van.
But your boss never asked you to do this. You cannot do this.
Why did I do it?
For your own purpose.
If you didn't do it, then your boss would be mad that you haven't worked for hours because you're waiting for some other.
To help the boss.
The question
I did it to help the boss, right? I did it to help the company. You know, sure, my boss can be angry at me, but so what? What am I supposed to do? You know, but I chose to do this in order to help the boss. Was I in the course of employment?
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes, I was. So in this case, somebody was only employed to drive small vans and cars. They ended up moving a large diesel truck. They hit someone, and yeah, the employer is liable. They were in the course of employment. That is true. You know, but as I said, with the example with Jody and the pizza, that would be an example like this, where in the middle of the afternoon, some employees drove from their office to a cafe. The cafe was 7 miles from where they were working. And on the way back, they crashed the company van and they killed someone. And the employer was not liable because the men were on a frolic of their own. They were acting entirely for their own benefit. They had no reason that they had to go to this cafe. They chose to.
Teacher, if your boss do not allow you, but he doesn't expect you to do this. You do it on your own. You cannot be responsible, like legally responsible for this act.
You do what on your own?
They decide to drive the forklifting.
If it's not to help the company,
But if you
that's
try
the
to,
question. The question is, did I do it to help the company?
it's the same as the guy who slapped the young boy. He did it because he wanted to prevent him to steal the candy. To
Well,
help
that
the
was,
co-
well,
Also
Apple.
to help the company.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he was protecting the company's product.
So every time that you want to help the company and you do, for example, a civil wrong or a crime, your company is responsible.
Not a crime necessarily. Remember, with the example of Aruni pushing the car, it depends on whether you did it on purpose or whether it was an accident. What we're talking about with negligence is carelessness, not on purpose. If the employee does something on purpose, remember, if I push Caitlin on purpose, you can't sue the boss. That's me doing it on purpose. That's a crime.
Right now, for the two cases, the only difference is like, because you say on purpose, he did not slap the boy in order to allow him to lose his leg. So this was negligence. I got it.
He did not slap the boy in order to hurt the boy.
Oh, okay.
That was not his goal. His goal was to protect the company's product. Now, there's one other time, and I know we're at 11 o'clock now, so I'll let you go in just a moment. There's one other time that you can't actually sue the boss, and that's if the boss very specifically says, you can't do that. So if they said to this fruit seller or this sugar seller, you can never, ever touch customers no matter what. You can never do it. Now, he slaps the boy to protect the sugar. Is the company responsible? No.
No.
They told him, you can never touch people. And he did it. If they told this driver, you can never drive the forklift, never. Then if he did it, the company would not be responsible because they told him you can't do it. That's called liability for prohibited acts. If an employer absolutely prohibits an employee from doing some things, then the company's not responsible. Okay, and we will pick up there next class. Now you should have enough information to do all of the midterm. There's a little tiny bit left on task D, but really just like 2 slides, you're really done. Actually, there is 2 slides and that's it. So, but I won't keep you any longer. So you are ready to do the midterm. Are there any questions right now?
Sir, can you check mine if you have a time today?
I will do it. Yes, I will do that.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Any other questions? No? Okay, well, email me or WeChat me or anything if you do have questions. Otherwise, I will see you guys next week. And I'm going to now put the quiz, which now you can do, onto Blackboard. And again, like I said, you can send me the quiz or you can send me whatever you've been writing. The only rule is for the writing, don't send me 1,000,000 pages. Send me like a little bit, you know, and let me see it.
Sorry, I haven't seen the PPT that you just shown today.
You haven't seen the PPT that I showed today?
Yeah, yeah.
Towards 2?
It's not on Blackboard.
That's not on Blackboard?
Towards part 2, no, not for week 6 or whatever.
No, I thought I put that up. I'm sorry. Okay, I'll do that right now.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay,
bye guys. Oh wait, I like to make someone else the host. Okay, Aruni's the host. How do I do this? Make host. Okay, Aruni's the host now. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.